Okay, we're back in the kitchen, Heidi's Happy Acre Farm. Today we're going to be making some biscotti. Now biscotti is an Italian cookie. It's used for like tea and coffee, so it's a little bit of a harder, firmer biscuit. It definitely has a long shelf life. I like to mix it up a little bit. Most of the times it comes in a flavor of anisette, which is kind of like a licorice flavor. Today though, we're going to go and we're going to just kind of focus on the vanilla with the chocolate chips. Basic ingredients. I love recipes like this. We're talking flour, baking powder, sugar, vanilla, eggs, oil, and chocolate chips. That's it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take your oil. Now it's a half a cup of oil. I'm not going to do a double of this. I'm just going to do a single. And then we'll go and we'll make a whole nother batch with a different flavor. And into this we'll add a cup of sugar. And then just let that mix for a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is, it does call for 3 eggs. And again, I try to break my eggs in a different container, just in case you end up getting any kind of shell or something. It's easier to pick it out of a small side container than it would be out of the mixing bowl. Alright, and then I'll let that mix up for a minute until it's blended well. Okay, to this I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Now if you were going to be using orange, anisette, lemon, almond, again you're just going to use 1 tablespoon of whatever and then just actually add the different ingredients to it. Okay, and then it's just a matter of adding the dry ingredients. So that's 3 1/4 cup flour and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. This dough tends to be a little bit sticky, but it's actually going to be workable into making it into the logs. So you want to make sure everything mixes quite a bit. And to this I'm going to add a half a cup of chocolate chips. I go actually a little bit more because we like a lot of chocolate chips. Sometimes if I'm giving these away of like a different variety, I'll even like dip them in chocolate, or I'll make orange flavored ones and dip them in melted chocolate. And there you have the dough. And it is a little bit of a loose dough, but I mean you can actually form 2 logs. What you're going to do is you're going to actually put it onto the baking sheet and you're going to form it into its shape by dividing the dough into half. Now if you're uncertain about your pans, you can actually put parchment on. It'll make it a little bit easier. This is a little bit wetter, and it does have quite a bit of oil in it. I try to keep them about the same size, just so that the cookies kind of have a uniform shape later on, or a uniform size. So if you're going to put them like in a mug, or say you go to the Dollar Tree or somewhere and you have an old Christmas mug and you put a bunch of different biscottis in it, it's kind of a nice unique gift. What I try to do is I try to make it a shape that kind of has the same width all the way down, so it keeps kind of like a, think about what a biscotti looks like that if you've seen in the store. They're kind of like a half moon shape, kind of a crescent moon. So I kind of play with the dough to be able to get that. The oven is at 375. It's going to cook for about 25 minutes. And there's the first ones. For right now, we're going to actually go ahead and do this. And we will see you in about 25 minutes. So while the chocolate chip vanilla biscotti's in the oven cooking, I'm going to go ahead and whip up another version. And I'm actually going to do, I had some sliced almonds that I wanted to use up. So I'm going to do like an almond flavor with almond in it. Again, it's just a simple thing of you're adding your oil. Again, that's a half a cup of oil, 1 cup of sugar. Start to mix that. While that's going, you're going to add the 3 eggs. And then your almond extract, and you're going to have, again, you're going to do a full tablespoon of the flavoring. This one's one of my favorites to do. So we have 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 3 1/4 cups of flour. So now that this wets are all mixed in with the sugar, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the dry. Smells good. And then I have a half a cup, which I actually went to a 2/3 cup of the chopped almonds, and let that mix up. And then it's just a repeat of the last one. You're going to make 2 big logs kind of on the pan itself. and then it's going to be baking them. And then once they're baked, you're going to slice, rebake, and then turn them over and bake again. Now this batter is a bit stiffer than the chocolate chip one. I was trying to figure out why, but I believe it was the size of the eggs I used the last time were a little bit bigger. We do have chickens here on the farm, but unfortunately, none of them are old enough now to lay. We do have to buy some. Okay, now our biscotti's been in there. This is the one that had the bigger eggs, so there's a little bit more spread out than it should be. But again, I think it'll still work out okay. This has got to sit for 10 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and bake off the other one for now. So now these will sit for 10 minutes, and then we'll do the slicing of them. Okay, so this has been about 10 minutes. So what I'm doing is I'm actually removing the biscotti to a cutting board, and we're going to cut these pieces into about maybe like 1 inch thick. So you just kind of cut them to where you do it. I always cut the ends off first, just to basically make that the sample cookie for later. And then it's just a matter of slicing. You can use a serrated knife, a kitchen knife. They're pretty flexible and kind of workable right now because it's still pretty warm. And you just try to keep them as uniform as you can. And then it's just a matter of taking the cookies, and what you want to do is you want to put them cut side down. So basically you're going to cook the both sides of the cookie, and that's where you're going to be browning them. So it's kind of just flipping the cookies. We're going to cook them for 6 minutes on one side to 10, depending on, you'll start to see them brown. Then you're going to flip them and cook them again for another 6 to 10, and then they're done. Okay, now these are ready to go back in the oven. They'll cook, like I said, for another 6 to 10 minutes, and then we'll flip them 6 to 10 minutes, and then they'll be done. Okay, so this is where we baked them off their first 10 minutes. Now it's going to be, or their first 6 minutes, it's going to be flipping them and then baking them again. Now, if you're working with chocolate chips, it is sugar, so it's going to be hot. So I have these just in case I need them. And I kind of just go through and flip them all the other way. And the reason I do that is so I know where I left off. And you'll see that they started to turn a little brown. And then these will go back in again for another 6 to 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to let these cool just for a minute or two, and then I'll switch them over onto the cooling racks so that it gives them some time to cool down and to harden off a little bit too. Okay, so we're wrapping it up with the biscotti. The almond ones were a little bit more dry. I probably baked them a little bit too long on the second batch. But that's okay because they still taste good and the family still eats them. So we have the vanilla chocolate chip, and these are the almond flavoring with the slivered almonds in them. So if you're ambitious enough to try one of our recipes, we hope you do, and let us know in the comments. So we hope you join us, and we'll be having some more cookie recipes coming up in the next few days. Until then, happy baking.